Hello everyone! Welcome to another transition update. Alright, so first I want to start with an update on the bank situation. You know, the one that's been developing for 6 weeks. I did actually manage to close the checking account. Yay! Finally. But I was not able to close my savings account because there was no money in it because I'm trying to close it. And then they calculated my interest and I gained 2 cents, and then they charged me a service fee for having no money in the account, so I was negative $4.98, which obviously is not going to work to close the account. I did get them to waive the $5 fee, but now there's a balance of 2 cents in there, and for some reason they can't seem to send me 2 pennies or write me a check or anything like that, or even call me, so my account is still technically open. And it is driving me insane. I just want out. It is over between us, bank. Let me leave. I'm done. I'm already set up. I have a whole other life with this other bank. Just let me leave, please, please. And I could go deal with this right now, but I'd have to take time off from work, and just as a matter of principle, I'm no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. This is your problem, your hours happen to coincide with my work hours. I'm going Saturday. It's just that simple. And that's sort of a thing that I'm finding as an adult really kind of sucks, is that when you get the model 9-to-5 job, you can't do anything else without taking time off. So it's not vacation time anymore. It's now personal time, which I have a million doctors to go to. It's not super fun, but it is what it is, and I can deal with it on the weekend, so I will. And that is mostly why this is taking so long, but I'm almost out. I'm so close. Another update. So I actually started seeing my new primary doctor. There was that new patient confusion over my gender, which is always a super fun one, because I've changed all my gender markers, including with my insurance company and on my license and everything, so everything says female at this point. Yay! And the problem is that somewhere in there it needs to say assigned male at birth, just for medical purposes. And the problem is that they actually put me assigned female at birth, which normally that field doesn't even come up on there unless you're trans, and they just filled it out wrong. So next time I am gonna have to go there and be yeah, I don't want to tell you this again because I've told you 3 times, but I was assigned male at birth. Please make the record match that. The other fun moment with that new doctor was when she was going through the list of all the prescriptions that I'm taking, and she was is there a particular reason you are taking all of these hormones? And what I should have said was, well, my body wasn't kind enough to make them for me, but instead I settled on I'm transgender, which is a much more boring answer. I'm having that moment where hours later you come up with the perfect response to something, and I'm no, this moment has passed. But they know exactly what they have to test for. They're having me do some prep work for that. They're gonna do not having me take vitamins and eat breakfast and all that before the test, so that I'll be able to know exactly what I'm dealing with in terms of my calcium and my potassium. Next up, I had my first session of electrolysis. Electrolysis is very different from laser. Laser is sort of on the surface. You can shave and everything the day that you have your session, and you can it's not invasive at all. It's painful. It feels like a hot epilator on your face, but it feels like you're kind of burning about 25 to 40 hairs a second, and it's quick, but oh my god, is it intense. Electrolysis, on the other hand, involves them pulling the hair, not out, but just pulling it taut, and then stabbing you with a needle, running a current through it that makes a popping sound, and then plucking the hair out. One at a time, 1 hair at a time. So instead of doing 25 to 40 hairs a second, you're doing 300 hairs in an hour, and oh my god, you feel every single one. It makes you so conscious of what is on your face, and you have to let your hair grow out first. I posted a photo on my Instagram of what I look like with 5 days of facial hair at this point, and it's ooh, I do not like that image. Please make that better. And this is the process, and this is a thing I'm gonna have to get used to, because I'm going to have to go in there with a minimum of 2 days of growth every single time, and the day of, I cannot wear makeup, nor can I wear makeup the day after. And if I swell up like I did this time, where I had to walk out of there with aloe and ice packs on my face and everything, it is not going to be a particularly good day to look at my face. I'm really not looking forward to like being seen like that, particularly by my coworkers and stuff, because like that is the situation that I'll be dealing with, and I'm just like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but I also really don't want to have to shave every morning, so I guess this is what it takes. And it's just like this cruel irony that this is what the universe requires to solve this problem. It's very much one of those like the only way out is through kind of situations, and I'm like, oh, damn you. All right, fine, I'll do it. I hate this that much. My facial hair dysphoria is really bad. It really is 10 times worse in my head than it is on my face. And it's bad enough on my face. Like, it needs to go. It needs to be dead and over with. You know, facial hair is one of those things, like voice, that does not improve with hormones. And you just have to deal with it some other way. I do not at all regret doing laser first, because I feel like I got like 50% reduction with laser, which is pretty good. Anytime that I have to get stabbed less is better. Plus, electrolysis is expensive and it's time consuming, and you have to keep doing it for a long, long time. So any less hair that you have to deal with going through that is going to be saving you time, saving you money. I can understand where some people would be able to fall asleep doing electrolysis. I'm not sure that I'll ever get to that point, but I'm really also glad that I went through laser first, if for no other reason than to train me to be okay having to lie still and allow someone to hurt my face. That is a hard thing for someone with PTSD and anxiety, and I don't think I would have been able to do this if I hadn't done that first and like learned all those skills and coping and everything. Next is an update about my birth certificate. Now, okay, so my name and gender marker are correct on my birth certificate. Yay! But the problem is my mother's zip code at the time of my birth does not match the street and town that is listed there. It's literally just this town with not this town's zip code. And it's so frustrating because I sent the letter to them with the form and everything to correct it. And long story short, after an hour debating this with these people, their bottom line was that I needed to get a receipt in my mother's name for a utility bill in 1990, which is the year I was born. Which is just kind of f***ing crazy to me, because I'm like, you need a 29-year-old receipt in my mother's name to confirm that you messed up the zip code? And I went through like all kinds of permutations on like, how can we fix this? I went through like, well, what process did the hospital use when they filed this birth certificate to verify that that address was correct? Oh, well, they don't have to. So can I talk to the hospital then and have them request the correction because they're a mistake? Oh, well, no. They also like tried to argue with me that it doesn't matter. They're like, no one's ever gonna check this. And I'm like, okay, then if it doesn't matter, just change it. Oh, well, no, we can't do that. Well, then it f***ing matters. If you can't just change it, then it matters. Don't lie to me. And they like kept pressuring me to answer this question of like, why do you care? Why does this matter? And I'm like, because it's wrong. And they just weren't accepting that answer, which is weird for people whose only job is to maintain accurate records of one's birth. And eventually I said, look, as you know, because you're looking at the original, I am transgender. If there are any, as you put it, your words, clear and obvious mistakes on my birth record, it will call into question the validity of the entire document. This must be corrected. And they held firm to that 29-year-old receipt thing. And I'm like, I'm not gonna get in touch with my abusive, transphobic mother to have her help me correct my birth certificate, even if she has this document, and my dad is quite a hoarder, so it is possible. I am not gonna go through them. It's just that simple. At one point, they suggested to me that I contact the utility company. I was like, first of all, they were bought out twice in the past 29 years because the world changes, unlike zip codes. And second, it's not my account. I am not my mother. Although, as you may recall from a previous transition update, at one point I was legally my own mother, but no, that doesn't count now. So, finally, I got them to agree to a different proposal. And I must say, it was one of my more brilliant ideas. They agreed that if I can get a letter from the post office that says in 1990 this address was located under this zip code, they will accept that as proof that the zip code must be corrected. it's just like, spend 5 minutes Googling it. And they're like, well, what if the town line was different or the zip code was different in 1990? I'm like, it wasn't. I lived there. I'm telling you, it wasn't. And they're like, well, we need documentation. It's just the most circular logic, and there's no way out. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, you are the government. If the zip code changed, wouldn't you know? But that's when I got to thinking, maybe I can use the federal government to fight the state government. And that's when the post office came to me. That and I was thinking about Miracle on 34th Street. So yes, my mission this week, actually tomorrow, will be to go to the post office and request this very strange document from them. I'm hoping that it will go okay, but there's no guarantees, and if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to probably get a lawyer to help me with this, because at this point I've talked to everyone in that department and there's no way on earth that they're going to correct this for any other reason than this. Like, the document they are asking me for does not exist. It is that simple. It is a 29-year-old document. There's no way. There's no way. I'm kind of at the end of my rope with this, honestly, because I'm like, this is the only thing that is left to be fixed. And I'm so glad that it's not an issue with my name or gender marker at this point, because I would just lose it at that point. Like, it is the stupidest thing in the world that they can't just fix it, because that is not the zip code for that town, and has never been, but they need me to prove that because somehow I would have access to this knowledge where they wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. This past month, I also had the pleasure of getting to record a podcast with one of my favorite podcasters, Kevin Porter of Gilmore Guys fame. He currently runs a podcast called Good Christian Fun, which is about religion and like current events type stuff with religion and things like that, and like sort of how to be Christian in a modern world. And as you all know, I was raised Catholic. He put out a call on Twitter for transgender people who have had experiences with faith and religion and all those sorts of things. So I did an interview with him, and that podcast was previously hidden behind a Patreon paywall, but is now up, and I will put a link in the description. They cut out some of my best parts, in my opinion, but yeah, I'm just really proud of it. I think that anyone who thinks they understand trans people without having met one, especially in a religious context, could do with actually hearing some of our stories and hearing how faith has affected us and things like that. So give it a listen if you're interested. The last thing I want to talk about today is the fact that my channel, which is called Interesting Things Weekly, has not had a video put up in 3 weeks. So real quick, the answer to why that is the case is the fact that I have been doing a lot of therapy, and both of my therapists have now switched to Monday and Tuesday nights, which is normally when I film and edit. And it's really cutting into my time for this channel, so I'm gonna have to shift everything to later in the week and just move it all over. The other problem I had was that I was preparing for electrolysis and had 4 days of facial hair growth the last time that I was able to film, and I was like, nope, not getting in front of camera. No, thank you. No, 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 no. It's bad enough that I have to hear my voice in every video. I really don't need to see my face. So yeah, that's basically everything going on with my transition right now. We're sort of reaching this phase where I am moving away from legal transition and more into the medical side, focusing on electrolysis and getting consultations for bottom surgery set up and making sure that my levels are good and everything. My endocrinologist is looking to raise my levels again, so I'm really looking forward to that. She wants to see me hit a particular range that I am not at yet, and I'm super excited for that, because at that range is when I might not need as much spironolactone and might not have to pee as much, which would be super great because I am really sick of peeing every 1 to 2 hours. It's kind of irritating, which is another motivator for me to get bottom surgery. And I know that that's an exclusively American thing because we're the only country that makes trans women take diuretics. So that's the problem here. But it is the situation that I am in. I've had some people suggest to me that I should consider an orchiectomy before bottom surgery, which my gender therapist recommended against, given that I knew that I already wanted bottom surgery, on the basis that scar tissue might interfere, and if I have to do a recovery time for one thing, I'm still gonna have to do it again for the other thing, and that's gonna delay one thing to the other. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just stick with the more estrogen and possibly spironolactone and go for that. But yeah, things are really looking up in my life. Starting to really feel like myself most of the time. I still wake up and check that everything is there. Something's good, something's bad. But I'm living my life and I'm generally happier. I get to go out as my real self and people see me accurately, and I don't know, I never thought that I would get to this point where I'd feel so comfortable with myself and just be able to be out in the world and have normal interactions with people and not feel out of place or awkward or anything. It's been a ride. Puberty sucks, but it's been worth it. Last thing. Starting next month, I am participating in NaNoWriMo, which, for those of you who are not initiated, is the National Novel Writing Month. I'll be writing a book that I've been thinking about writing for some time, titled Transplaining. Kinda like a wordplay on mansplaining. Answers to questions that you've always wanted to ask trans women, but shouldn't. It's a sort of like lighthearted, but like serious answer to like questions that people should be able to ask us, but like shouldn't ask us because they're really inappropriate questions, and there's really not good resources out there for them, so I'm kind of wanting to like put that out there, partly so that when people ask me those questions I can point them to my book. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just kind of like finding other ways to communicate this experience and like make sense of it. Making these videos really helps me keep track of like my progress and like make sense of what is happening to me and stuff. So I figure writing would be another way that I can do that with like better articulation of my thoughts, because I can backspace the word like when I say it 20 times a minute. But to that end, I am going to make a really bad decision right now. And I'm going to ask you to post your questions in the comments as appropriately and sensitively as you can, and that way I can use them as inspiration for this book. This is like the worst idea I've ever had, but I trust my viewers. Please don't let me down. And that is all for this video. I'll be back again next week with another video that I hope you'll find interesting. Until then, stay curious.